I would not have taken on the responsibility of trying to build a network. I should have handled all of that differently.
I felt a growing sense of alarm. I came to realize what it meant for bullying, an age-old problem, sadly, to be supercharged by the power of social media. New, exciting platforms that, at their heart, want to help people make and maintain friendships. We're allowing bullies to take their abuse beyond the traditional theatres. I saw the example of my wife, Catherine. In her grief, she felt compelled to take action. She spoke out and she challenged the technology sector to work together to help protect.
What if one phone call, one blunt no, changed the future of the monarchy's media wars? What if the man, who will one day wear the crown, decided, in a single, furious moment, that the era of confessional tell-alls was over? Tonight we're unpacking that seismic, very modern moment. Oprah Winfrey is said to have privately offered Princess Catherine an exclusive interview to set the record straight, and Prince William, protective and fierce, reportedly slammed the door shut. The claim is incendiary, the chatter is relentless, and the truth, as ever, sits in the grey. Rewind to March 2021. Oprah's sit-down with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle was more than an interview. It was a cultural tsunami that aired on CBS, drew millions, and prompted crisis talks inside the palace and across international newsrooms. The program reshaped public conversations about privacy, race, and what families owe each other when so much of life is conducted on camera. The most resonant moment from that conversation, the suggestion that someone inside the palace raised questions about Archie's skin tone, detonated global debate. When asked about those revelations, Prince William responded to reporters, "We're very much not a racist family." That denial landed like a royal retort, but for many viewers it didn't erase the question marks the interview left behind. Why this still hurts the Wales family. This wasn't television for spectators, it bled into lives. For Catherine, the program became a vector for a new kind of cruelty, relentless trolling, photoshopped images, and conspiratorial threads that turned private moments into ongoing public spectacle. The blow became painfully concrete when Catherine publicly disclosed a cancer diagnosis in March 2024, a private health struggle that then had to be navigated in full view of the public. That reality reshaped how William and Catherine weigh the costs of reopening old wounds. This is structural, not theoretical. Reputable surveys show large shares of adults and teens have experienced online harassment. Younger groups are especially vulnerable, and abusive content gets amplified across platforms. For an individual or family in a health crisis, renewed media attention can rapidly become harmful rather than healing. Those statistics matter because they change the calculus. A palace press moment is not merely PR, it's a possible vector for emotional harm. Over recent weeks, a narrative has been circulating across social platforms and monetized video channels. Oprah, having privately reflected on the fallout of 2021, allegedly reached out to Catherine with an olive branch interview offer, and Prince William personally intervened to refuse, reportedly saying, "It's too late. My wife does not want to do any interviews or mention you." These posts are loud, trimmed for virality, and their provenance is thin, a handful of uploads, anonymous insiders, and stitched-together clips that reward emotion over documentation. Sources say, is the talisman of modern rumor, but here it must be handled carefully. The circulating accounts cite unnamed entertainment insiders and social clips. Crucially, there is no verified confirmation from Kensington Palace or Buckingham Palace that such an offer and refusal exchange, particularly an on-air apology by Oprah, occurred as described in viral uploads. The absence of mainstream confirmation is a red flag. It doesn't disprove everything, but it requires healthy skepticism. Oprah's brand is built on confession, empathy, and reconciliation. She has revisited prior decisions and reflected publicly on past interviews, so the idea of a private outreach to give someone a chance to tell their side fits her pattern. And yes, an interview with the future queen would be a massive broadcast event. Commercial logic is never absent from these moves. So a motive could be personal, commercial, or both. On the other side of the phone, the calculus looks different. For William, the decision is not ratings, it is family safety. Reopening that chapter risks exposing 3 young children and a recovering wife to renewed scrutiny and to amplified abuse. From a palace vantage, silence can be protection, a firewall against cycles of speculation and cruelty. A blunt refusal can be read not just as PR strategy, but as an act of private defense. If Oprah did offer, and William did rebuff, we could be witnessing a strategic pivot, a palace choosing durable privacy over episodic public catharsis. Or this could be a manufactured rumor engineered to trend. Either way, the moment is instructive. It exposes how modern royalty negotiates media hunger, family safety, and the long, slow work of reputation. Part 2 digs into fallout, winners and losers, and the deeper power shifts this single no might signal. Stay tuned, soon. Welcome back. Part 1 laid out the claim. Oprah allegedly reached out, and Prince William reportedly pushed back. In this second act we go deeper, into optics, motives, institutional consequence, and human cost. We'll name the likely winners and losers, and we'll try to separate what's plausible from what's pure gossip. When a story like this leaks, whether true or not, the palace must do 3 things instantly: assess legal risk, measure the PR ripple, and protect the family on the ground. The early triage often looks familiar: silence where possible, carefully worded responses where necessary, and strategically timed appearances that reset the narrative. The current chatter is concentrated on fast-moving social video platforms and monetized channels that prize virality over verification. That triage often reads like secrecy to an impatient public, but secrecy has a logic. Declining an interview deprives an adversary of oxygen. It keeps family healing private and denies media the dramatic moment that could reset a reputation. If William's no is real, the immediate winners are privacy and narrative control. The Wales household preserves timing and tone. The communications team reasserts gatekeeping authority. The losers are obvious: media outlets that expected an exclusive and independent pundits who monetize palace drama. For Harry and Meghan, a refusal deepens polarization. It makes reconciliation harder to sell to an audience that eats dramatic confessions. This refusal hints at a broader shift: centralization of storytelling. Historically, the monarchy relied on semi-friendly journalists and curated access. Now, stories are decentralized. Anyone with a phone can spin a narrative. Hardening the palace's posture would return power to a narrower inner circle: communications chiefs, private secretaries, but it risks accusations of opacity and institutional defensiveness. For Oprah, being rebuffed by the future king would be symbolic, not fatal. Her brand rests on access and empathy. A refusal simply underscores a new reality: the most powerful journalists can no longer assume automatic access to private institutions. A savvy pivot for her would be behind-the-scenes reconciliation efforts, independent reporting, or charity partnerships, rather than chasing a public remediation headline. A palace refusal hardens parallel narratives. For Sussex supporters, it looks like a denial of accountability. For their critics, it looks like the family defending itself against exploitation. The longer both sides maintain separate story universes, the more entrenched public opinion becomes, and algorithms keep both storylines alive because controversy feeds engagement. Conversations between celebrity journalists and royals are not just editorial choices. They involve legal, privacy, and security assessments. What might be said, how it could be used, and how it might affect children or staff are all factored into access decisions. Those practical constraints can stop a project before any moral or strategic debate begins. Watch for 3 outcomes: reconciliation, private rapprochement, and a controlled public gesture; escalation, continued leaks, legal skirmishes, and periodic flare-ups; or stalemate, 2 parallel narratives that never reconcile. Sources close to palace circles say contingency plans exist for each path, and that advisors have become strikingly risk-averse since the 2021 fallout. This moment speaks to a deeper institutional tension. The monarchy wants to modernize while protecting traditions that once relied on curated access. If the palace opts for perpetual silence, it may alienate younger, transparency-hungry audiences. If it overcommunicates, it risks commodifying private pain. The choice William and Catherine make now could define how the monarchy balances authenticity with discretion for years to come. So, where does that leave us? Is William's refusal a righteous shield or a strategic dodge? Is Oprah's alleged outreach a genuine olive branch or a ratings play? Likely elements of both. These are people making human choices inside an institution with obligations to tradition and to the future. Drop your take in the comments. Would you have said yes or no if you were in the palace communications team? Hit like if you think privacy is the priority. Hit dislike if you think silence is avoidance. We're reading every single comment. Let's take a step back and zoom out, because this saga isn't just about Catherine, William, and Oprah. No, it's a case study in how modern monarchy collides with 21st century celebrity culture, and the aftershocks could reshape how the crown plays the media game for a generation. Think about it. In the past, scandals faded because time and distance blurred details. Princess Margaret's wild weekends, whispers, Charles and Diana's marital drama, headlines for a season, then tucked into dusty magazines. But now, everything lives online forever, clipped, memed, and resurfaced whenever it suits the algorithm. William knows this. Catherine knows this. Even King Charles has admitted, sometimes privately, sometimes with a sigh on camera, that the monarchy has to adapt or risk being consumed by the digital beast. And that's what makes this moment, William allegedly slamming the door on Oprah, so fascinating. It's not just personal fury. It's strategic. It's generational. It's the future king saying, we won't play by the same rules as Diana did. We're not letting the cameras define us. We'll define ourselves. Now, imagine the palace boardroom conversations behind the scenes. Advisors in sleek suits weighing the pros and cons. Some urging, maybe Catherine should speak. Her voice could crush the rumors once and for all. Others warning, every word becomes a weapon. One misstep, one misquote, and the trolls will twist it for years. In the end, William chooses silence. A choice that feels, ironically, louder than any interview could be. And here's where the power shift becomes glaring. In 2021, Oprah held the cards. She had Harry and Meghan. She had the exclusive. She was the queenmaker, the gatekeeper, the voice people trusted. But in 2025, the power is tilting back. William doesn't need Oprah. Catherine doesn't need Oprah. They have their own platforms, their own controlled appearances, and let's be honest, an entire global press corps ready to hang on their every word the moment they decide to speak. Oprah's olive branch, if it was real, may have been less about generosity and more about survival. Her brand needs them more than they need her. And then there's Harry. Spare a thought for him in all this. Every time a new Oprah versus Catherine story drops, the spotlight swings back to his 2021 sit-down. That interview was his boldest move, his way of breaking free. But if the tide of public opinion is shifting, if fans are now siding with William and Catherine, seeing Meghan's words as exaggerations or half-truths, then Harry's legacy gets pulled down with it. Sources say he hates being portrayed as a villain, yet in this chess match, every royal headline reopens old wounds. Now, what about Catherine herself? Insiders insist she's focused on her health, her children, and her projects, the early years initiative, her hospital visits, her quiet charity work. But don't underestimate her silence. In royal terms, silence is a language. By not speaking, she's telling the world, I won't dignify falsehoods with airtime. I won't give bullies the satisfaction of a reaction. My life speaks for itself. That stoicism might be exactly why public polls show her approval ratings holding strong, even as chaos swirls around the wider family. But here's the juicy speculation, and let's be real, you know you want this. What if Oprah's offer wasn't just about reconciliation? What if Hollywood producers, streaming giants, even Netflix itself were lurking in the background, dreaming of a Catherine-centered blockbuster to rival Harry and Meghan? The pitch writes itself, the future queen, Catherine's untold story. Imagine the ratings. Imagine the global frenzy. The palace can see that possibility, and it terrifies them. Because one slip, one too revealing confession, could immortalize Catherine N.